Hi. One of my favorite DeShazer quotes comes from his third book, Clues. And what he writes is that every client carries the key to the solution. The therapist needs to know where to look. I think it was on the same page or perhaps on the next page. He writes, the client has everything needed to solve the problem. The only difficulty is that clients do not know that they know how to solve the problem. Now, when DeShazer writes both of these things, he's pointing our attention to the past. There are a huge number of misconceptions about solution focus. And in all honesty, we have contributed ourselves to the creation of many of those misconceptions through our oversimplified way of describing the approach at times. And so very often people will say, you solution-focused people, you're not interested in the past, are you? And in some ways, it might be nice to be able to say no to that we're not interested in the past because, look, therapy has given the past a bad name. The past has been, I suppose, used or constructed by therapists in a way that is incredibly unhelpful to clients. Because typically therapy has only been interested in the past that relates to the construction of the problem in people's lives. Therapists have been interested in looking for everything that could be thought of as an antecedent to the problem. And so the past has got a bad reputation, but actually it's not right that solution focus is not interested in the past. After all, when the model started off, Steve DeShazer, it was predominantly a past-oriented model. Steve DeShazer was interested in exceptions. They were at the heart of the model that he developed. And exceptions were times in the past when the client actually did things in such a way that the problem didn't happen, or happened less, or happened with less intensity, or lasted less long, but one of those things. So what we were talking about was the past, things happening in the past. Now, of course, the balance of power, you could say, or the weight of focus in the model has changed. And it's changed from the past to the future. We're much, much more interested now in the future than Steve DeShazer was when he originated these ideas. But the interest in the past is still there. We are still interested in instances, little bits of the preferred future, little elements of the preferred future that the client already has or has had at various times in their life. We are still interested in exceptions, times when the problem could have happened, perhaps should have happened, and didn't. When we ask scale questions, I'm typically much more interested in how come you're already at 3 and not naught, rather than asking people about moving up the scale. And when we're doing that, when we're focusing on where people are and how they've got there, of course, what we're interested in is the past, albeit perhaps the recent past, but nonetheless, the past. You might be interested in asking clients, again using the scale, at what point have you been highest on your scale? When was that? What were you doing? How did you do that? We ask people, when people are describing instances and exceptions, what did it take to do that? You know, those times in the past when things have worked out for you, what did it take to do that? Well, that's a past-oriented question. When we ask people a question like, of all the people who've known you well in your life, who would be least surprised to hear you say that you've made those changes? We're inviting people to identify those elements of the past that fit with the future that people want. So solution focus, of course, is interested in the past. It's just interested in a past that is a different past from the one that traditionally therapy has worked with. In solution focus, we're interested in the past that fits with the future that clients want to build, rather than the history of the problem in the client's life.